Proclamation News and Gatherance with the prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson. Thank you all for tuning in. Listening both observed and preserved, you are part of the aristocracy socially. Thank you for tuning in. We've got a few segments to get, not so many today as per usual. I've got a phone call in 30 minutes. But anyway, we're going to look inside the UK road. Think first. Do not enter the vehicle under sleep deprivation, under the influence of alcohol and narcotics. Check your water coolant tank, make sure they're topped up to maximum level. Make sure you and passengers have seatbelts and babies have seatbelts adjacent to their car seat. Checking your centre mirror and wing mirror for acting into a safe, sufficient directional choice. Looking out for further police actions. Road safety signs. Check out for road works. Check out for, make sure road workers are not living behind the fence, emerging towards roads. Making sure your cars are taxed, insured, you've got a driver. It's all simple. See what's occurring. Segment today. Make sure you subscribe to Proclamation News and Gatherance. We have also Proclamation News and Gatherance is offered a couple of books. Justin Johnson on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. The Matter as well. Finishing my third novel. We are very, very busy. I'm also an artist and I'm studying history and politics. Hence, the Proclamation News and Gatherance media studies are done at college. Many other things. Appreciate the support. People come through it day in, day out. It's strange, isn't it? Like most people will like to hear about boxer, he's punch drunk, or he had no life, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he doesn't know where he's going. But not all boxers are actually punch drunk. Some are clever. We have taken loads of hits to the head, yes. I do have a thing. The only indications I have is being antagonized by being put in a situation, people questioning my credibility just because I'm a boxer. I shouldn't know what they know. But I'll tell you what, I know enough about the urban infrastructure, the urban footprint, the carbon says it all, doesn't it? That says it all. In Colchester, due to long-term construction of Sills Lane between De Grey Road, first reported at didn't map a little bit. A couple of roadworks here. Construction as it was still 28 on. I was sounding a bit separated. Whitford. That's main work. 15% Green Road. A1055 here and way both ways near Lee Valley Leisure Complex. A1010 temporary traffic signals due to Telecom. 010 Hertford Road at Hoe Lane. 47 reported. Well, moving on, ladies and gents, to the next. Omid, Sharon, Kaylee, David, Ted, Jason, and everyone else. Proclamation News and Gatherance. Kwasi Kwarteng U-turns on plan. The Governor's Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng told BBC of the proposal announced just 10 days ago had become a massive distraction on what was a strong package. To add to Liz Truss comes several Tory MPs criticise the plan. The plan to scrap the 45p tax rate paid to people earning more than $150,000 a year was announced as part of the package of tax cuts. Mr. Kwarteng told BBC Breakfast the proposal was drowning out the strong package, including support for energy bills and cuts to basic rate of income tax and corporation tax. He asked whether he owed people an apology. He said, "We've listened to people, and yeah, there is humility and contrition in that, and I'm happy to own it." On how the decision was made, he said, the Prime Minister decided not to proceed with the abolition of the rate. However, pressed on whether it was a U-turn, Mr. Kwarteng, no, we talked together. I said, this is what I was minded to do, and we decided together. We were in agreement that we wouldn't proceed with the abolition of the rate. Asked if he could consider resigning, he said, no, not at all. On Sunday, Prime Minister told BBC to move cut to the top rate of income tax. It was a decision that the Chancellor made. But she also said she was absolutely committed to do it as part of the package, make the tax system simpler and boost growth. He asked whether his previous comment that there was no more to come on tax cuts still stood. Mr. Kwarteng said there would be no tax cuts ahead of the next budget in spring. He pressed on whether the economic plans would mean spending cuts for public services. The Chancellor said there would be more details in the government's fiscal plans on November the 23rd. However, he said the government was sticking to its 2021 comprehensive spending review, meaning it will not raise spending in line with inflation. Labour called for governments to reverse their whole economic discredited trickle-down strategy. Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves said U-turn came too late for the families who pay higher mortgages and higher prices for years to come. Lib Dem leader Sir Ed Davey called the Chancellor to resign, saying he has no longer any credibility and the whole mini-budget needed an overhaul. Plans to scrap the top rate of tax had seen remarkable opposition from the markets, other parties and a growing number of Tory MPs. Conservative Party Chairman Jake Berry had previously warned the Tory MPs who vote against the Prime Minister's tax measures that they would be kicked out of the parliamentary party, known as losing the whip. But increasingly, it seems mistrust did not have the numbers to get it through Parliament. On Sunday, senior Tory Michael Gove hinted he would not vote for the plan when it came to Parliament, saying, I don't believe it's right. The former Cabinet Minister said the PM's decision was a display of the wrong values. Former Cabinet Minister Grant Shapps had warned the Prime Minister would lose a Commons vote on the proposal. He welcomed U-turn, telling BBC it's better to act, it's better to reverse ferret on something that is causing a problem like this. And it sends a very important signal to the public and also to the markets that we are serious about sound of money. The decision was also welcomed by the Confederation of British Industry. Director General Tony Danker said the pledge had become a distraction from other economic reforms, which he said it would make a real difference to growth. The U-turn suggestions, of which were first reported to the Sun, comes the second day of the Conservative conference in Birmingham, said Mr. Kwarteng, due to speak later on Monday. The pound jumped on the news, rising more than a cent against the dollar to 1,263 before falling back. The currency touched a record low last week as Mr. Kwarteng made his budget created turmoil in the markets. A 45% tax rate implies to income above 150,000 in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. Scrapping the top rate made up about 2 billion of the 45 billion worth tax cuts announced by the Chancellor in his mini budget. Other measures announced included a cut to the basic rate of income tax, 19% of reversal of the recent rise in national insurance, and scrapping the cap on bankers' bonuses. Apparently, it was going to be dropping this tax thing was going to come out of people's universal credit as well, supposedly. That's what I heard. So, yeah. Image released in the hunt for man who sexually assaulted a woman in Southend Park. The man assaulted a woman in a park, but he's in a wheelchair. The victim was approached by a man who allegedly sexually assaulted her before following her around the park. Minutes has been released in a harmful manner of sexually to Avenue. South End at around 6:20 on the 16th of August. Following reports of a woman being sexually assaulted. The victim was approached by a man who sexually assaulted her around the park. The suspect was described as using a wheelchair and wearing a blue tracksuit. But ironic that a guy in a wheelchair, depends, he might not be formally disabled, might be just a cover. Well, great. I'm trying to get on the radio, and the computer is going ever so slow. Well, that looks like we could have a bit of a provocation now. We might have to laugh that segment off and go on to the next one. We're not going to find out about what happened with the ironic man. But what we will find out is make cannabis class A drug, says conservatives. Yes, absolutely. A group of Conservative police commissioners is calling for cannabis to be put in cocaine and ecstasy. It would mean tougher penalties for possession, potential life sentences for suppliers and producers. Police and crime commissioners are elected to hold forces to account in England and Wales, but do not control criminal law or police operations. At the Conservative Party conference in Birmingham, a group of them will argue new health data penalties to bitter weed. The said the cannabis was driving harm in communities. We're seeing it because it's a gateway drug. You look at young people in treatment, the number one drug they are Mrs. Sidwick, who used to work in pharmaceutical industry, claimed that the wealth of new data on the drug affects. He also said the enforcement needs to go hand in classifying cannabis, many crimes linked to drugs. Perhaps prohibition. He said the commissioners, by obviously dramatic, are ignorant. He never said that currently no drug scientific evidence. So any minute now, back again, same through supporting the show.